we have, I don't know if it's Stephen or Stephan, Stephan Mitchell Adams. I'm going to turn my camera off for 1 second while I'm reading. So Stephan or Stephen went missing on December 13th, 2004 from Tahlequah, Oklahoma. He is a Native American male. He was 26 years old at the time he went missing. He will be 46 years old as of 2024. At the time he went missing, he was 5'7" tall and 164 to 200 pounds. Last seen wearing a black t-shirt and jeans and carrying a dark colored book bag. It says that he does have severe asthma and he may need an inhaler to control the condition. And both of his inhalers were left behind at his residence at the time that he disappeared. He has brown hair and brown eyes. It says he usually has a full beard. His hair was collar length at the time of his disappearance. So I guess it is Stephen, because it says many accounts spell his name Stephen or Steven. So I'm just going to go with the pronunciation of Stephen. Turn my camera on. Stephen, and I should have changed to my other glasses. I can't see. Stephen apparently called his girlfriend on his cell phone at around 11 a.m. on December 13th, 2004. And he told her that he was giving a man a ride to Keys, Oklahoma. Apparently, he was in good spirits at the time of the conversation. Authorities later determined that at the time that he spoke to his girlfriend, he had actually been south of Tahlequah. Someone tried to call his phone at around 11:30 a.m. It says it rang only once before going to voicemail, and all calls after that were transferred immediately to voicemail. Between 11:30 a.m. and 12 p.m., he was seen at a convenience store in Cookson, Oklahoma. They say he appeared to be upset and agitated at that time. He purchased a soda, and then he stood outside the store for about 5 minutes before he left the vicinity in his pickup. He was apparently alone when he left. After that, he was never seen or heard from again. Authorities do consider his disappearance suspicious. Foul play is possible, they say, in his case. His vehicle, which is a white 1995 or 1998 GMC SCL, a one-ton truck with a short bed, chrome bed rails, no taillight covers, and Oklahoma license plate SEQ 714 is also missing. Since his disappearance, he has not used his credit cards, his cell phone. He left all of his personal belongings behind. He left money in his dresser. He was a student at Northeastern State University in Tahlequah at the time of his disappearance. And he had previously attended Haskell Indian Nations University in Kansas. And he hoped to get an engineering degree and a job in management. So investigators, you see the smaller picture on the slide there. It says investigators would like to identify and interview a possible witness in Stephen's disappearance. He was seen at a Dollar General store on East Downing Street in Tahlequah, which is close to Stephen's apartment on the morning of December 13th. They described the individual as a Caucasian male, 5'11", 180 to 200 pounds, with brown and salt and pepper collar-length hair, and they say about 4 days growth, beard, salt and pepper facial hair. He was between 40 and 50 years old in 2004, and he was wearing a tan Carhartt jacket, faded blue or black jeans, a flannel shirt, a dark green stocking cap, and eyeglasses. So like I said, that is a drawing, a sketch of that individual. And it says that he drove a charcoal colored or faded black 2000 Ford Ranger pickup with a chrome toolbox. So authorities stated that the individual arrived at the store at around 7:50 a.m. He hung around in the parking lot, they said, for hours. He claimed that he was waiting for someone, but no one appeared to come and meet him or pick him up. He mentioned to a passerby that he worked at a construction site in Keys, which is just south of Tahlequah. And this man apparently left the parking lot just before 11 a.m., which is around the time that Stephen disappeared. The person, they say, is not being called a suspect in the case, but police feel that he may have information that may assist in the investigation, and he has yet to be identified. Sorry, stuff is popping up on my computer. So apparently when Stephen went missing, he was involved in what they call a very contentious custody battle with his ex-wife over their daughter. He wanted custody of her, or at least to be allowed to even see her, but his ex-wife objected to this. She refused to comply with the court's visitation orders. So it says that Stephen was charged twice with SA of the child, but in neither instance was there enough evidence to take him to trial. It says the custody matter had been going on for over 2 years, and there was an important hearing about it scheduled in Muskogee County District Court for a few days after Stephen vanished. Authorities do not believe the timing was a coincidence, so I think it may have something to do with this custody hearing. A few weeks after Stephen disappeared, his family received a telephone threat from an unidentified individual who stated that they would be harmed if the investigation into Stephen's disappearance did not end. So get your red flags out if you haven't already. And that caller has not been identified. Stephen resided in the 400 block of East Downing Street in Tahlequah at the time of his disappearance, and his case remains unsolved. So that was a whole lot of information to unpack. But if you have any information regarding this case, you can call the Tahlequah Police Department at 918-456-8801 or the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation at 800-522-8017. I believe I do have, if I can find, if the articles will load. That is the next thing. If the article, oh, they did load. So this article is from October of 2017. Cold case, Stephan Adams' family is still looking for his body, it says, after 2004 disappearance. I'm going to turn this off for a second while I'm reading. So a Greene County family refuses to give up hope, even though their son's disappearance has been unsolved. Hold on, it just jumped on me. For 13 years, as of 2017. Denny Hayes flips through photos of her son, Stephen, tears streaming down her face. It's the only way she can see her goofy, loving boy anymore. She said at about 10:30, his girlfriend called and said, "Have you heard from Stephen?" I said, "No, I have not heard from him." And she says she relives December 13th, 2004. Stephen was only 26 years old. He had just finished his finals at NSU in Tahlequah, but that was all they knew for sure. She says, his mother says, it's just like a desperate feeling you get that never goes away. His father, Carl Adams, felt abandoned by law enforcement, so he jumped into the search himself. He says, "I would tear the world apart just like Carl has." Or maybe that's the mother said, "I would tear the world apart just like Carl has." Cherokee County District Attorney Jack Thorpe has been digging into the case since 2012. He says, "There's no doubt in my mind that he was the victim of a homicide, and I'll say that all day long." So apparently they have hopefully some information that they're going off of to make that kind of statement. He rolled out a roadmap pointing to dozens of theories and characters, but it started at his map with the facts. It says he was likely in this area. Stephen made a phone call that hit a cell tower in Keys. His mother said he told his girlfriend where he was going. She said, well, he left the apartment and left town, picked up a hitchhiker and was going to drop them off in Keys. We believe he was traveling this road and was going to take a back road back here to see his mama in Weber's Falls. And this is according to law enforcement Thorpe. Deanie was expecting him later that day. She says, we know that he was seen at a convenience store in the Cookson area. The last time Thorpe said anyone saw him or his white Chevy pickup truck when he left, and this is a very poorly written article. Thorpe says when he left, and this is what's weird because he was going to his mama's house and his mama lives down here, and the witnesses said he was going north. So apparently that means he was going in the opposite direction of if he was going to his mom's house. Those witnesses also said that he was alone when he left, but remember the hitchhiker he told his girlfriend about. To me, logically speaking, if he didn't have anybody here, he must have dropped him somewhere here and went back to get them. And then I think that's when his life was taken. In fact, Carl said someone made it clear that they wanted Stephen out of the picture. Once again, we talked earlier about the DA said that Stephen had been dismissed twice of SA charges filed against him by the mother of his child. The family said his ex-father-in-law made his feelings known. Stephen's mother says that the ex-father-in-law said, he said, I'll KU, unalive you, or I'll unalive him, I'll unalive him. And the lawyer said, calm down, you know they'll arrest you. And he calmed down a little bit and said, but I will unalive him. So yeah, that would be number one person of interest on my list. And his mother said that she was there when he made these statements and that she believed that he would do it. Stephen's brother, Chris Adams, says, I believe he truly in his heart believed what they were saying about him when it was all made up by his wife. Stephen's father worked tirelessly with OSBI and private investigators searching. They came up short, but successfully petitioned for a grand jury hearing in 2012. That jury heard more than 60 testimonies and concluded one or some of the people that testified did take the life of Stephen, but they couldn't identify who. Carl, his father, said, I'm emotionally a wreck. A part of his heart was lost with Stephen. He'll always remember the baby with the sweet brown eyes. The one his brother Chris feels that he failed. He says, because sometimes I feel like if I had been there, his mother still waits for him. She says, sometimes I scream his name. I just miss him so much. It is so hard. I hate the way this article is written. It's so choppy. So the DA is clear with his message for Stephen's offenders. He says, yeah, keep sitting comfortable because we're coming. If you did it, we're going to figure it out, and we are going to put you in jail. His father, Carl, has less to say. He says, I would say, I hope they find God because they are looking at spending eternity in hell for what they have done. The lead agency over the case is the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation, which is in the process of renewing the reward on this case. If you have any information, once again, on the case, you're encouraged to call or email their tip line, 800-522-8017. The email is tips@osbi.ok.gov. Or you can send tips directly to the DA at coldcasetips@da27.org. So that was just some additional information, interviews with the family. I just always feel so bad. Just reading these statements from these family members, it just breaks my heart. And I don't know if, yeah, I know I remember to mark where I was when I left off. Okay, I went too far because there's Miss Lisa Joes. 1 minute, guys. I'm trying to find out where I left off. Okay, oh, there we go. Okay. Sorry, I forgot to turn my camera on. Oh my goodness. Arctic's always busy. He is a machine. Arctic said I did 7 cold. Yeah, he was cranking out those videos. He said I did 7 cold cases yesterday, cleared my backlogs of submission, and Chris stacked me up again. Hey, I appreciate Chris. Chris is always sending me through Facebook Messenger, sending me cases and stuff, and I appreciate it very much. Yeah, speaking of that, so if anybody ever has any trying to find any case that you know of that needs more attention, you can email me at southerngaltruecrime@hotmail.com. I would be happy to do a video, a live stream, whatever I can do to help bring a more awareness to it. Absolutely. No problem doing that. Okay. All right. Lost my place again. Yes, Kel said you're a machine, Arctic. He is. I'm telling you. My notifications yesterday kept dinging, 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 and it was Arctic. And I watched every one of them. I think I shared most or all of them. But we appreciate Arctic so much for everything that he does. Yeah, Lisa says, what would you even do with yourself otherwise? Hello, Black Knight 007. Good to have you here. I know you're usually here, probably lurking. Happy holidays, everyone. Absolutely. Happy holidays back to you. Another loyal member. Absolutely. Good to have you here. Yeah, Chris says Stephen's case is creepy. Yeah, it's just, I want to know more about this. The person that sketch, it's supposedly just a witness, want to talk to, but he disappeared from the parking lot around the same time that Stephen disappeared. And then whoever this, was he the hitchhiker or was it somebody else that was the hitchhiker? Yeah, lots of stuff going on in this case. Madison says, so this picture is not what he looked like when missing. Which one are you talking about? The big color picture is Stephen, and the pictures they use on Charley Project are usually around at least in the same year they went missing. Now, the smaller picture is the sketch of the possible witness that they would like to talk to that might have some information. I don't know if that's what you're referring to, but the bigger picture is the picture of Stephen. Paula wants to know, did he have a girlfriend? I don't know. He had an ex-wife, and they were in a custody battle for their little girl. She had apparently accused him of essaying the little girl, but they never found. They charged him twice, I think it said, but there was never any or enough evidence to convict him or take him to trial. Now, I don't know if he had a current girlfriend. It didn't. Well, actually, I think it did say his girlfriend said that he left her apartment or called her or something. Let me go back to the article. I think maybe he did have a current girlfriend. Because something was mentioned. I don't know if it was in the article, the Charley Project information. The girlfriend said something about he came by her apartment or. Yeah, it says she said, well, he left the apartment and left town, picked up a hitchhiker and was going to drop them off in Keys. His mother said he told his girlfriend where he was going. So yes, he did have a girlfriend at the time. Excellent, excellent question, Miss Paula. Let me caught up. Yep, Julian says 20 years is a long freaking time. Absolutely. Chris, get to come up. The sketch is once again the possible witness that they want to talk to that was in, I think, the same parking lot or in the same area, because I said that Stephen was last seen at a store or a convenience store And I think this sketch of this person was hanging around in the parking lot, they said, for hours. And he was last seen around the same time that Stephen was last seen. So I'm wondering if he was the hitchhiker or if it's two completely different people. But that's who the sketch is. Yes, Kelkel says right before the holidays, his poor family. Absolutely. Let's get caught up quickly and we will move on to the next one. Yep, Arctic says absolutely so many gone for way too long. Absolutely. Lisa Jo said that sketch looks like my boyfriend's uncle. Definitely not him. Yeah, it's the thing with sketches. Some of them are just so generic. You could take just about anybody who wears glasses and has a mustache and put a cap on him, a beanie cap or whatever, and yeah, it could be anybody. Yep. So yeah, and they think that played into it. Miss Peggy said, "Oh my, custody issue, not good." Yeah, and apparently the authorities think that the coincidence, or they said that, in their opinion, this upcoming court hearing and Stephen's disappearance was not a coincidence. So, and then you heard in the article what his ex-father-in-law said, that he would basically unalive him. So the hitchhiker and then the ex-father-in-law will be the two number ones on my list. Yes. Arctic says, sounds like the ex was making false reports. I absolutely agree. Madison wants to know, was he part of a tribe? It did not mention. It just said that before he went to, let me go back to his Charley Project information. Oh, wrong. I keep that he did go to a Cherokee Nations college before. Let me find it. Well, maybe I went past it. I know what's here. Telling this is a new pair of glasses, and I don't know if the strength is different, but I cannot see as well as with my old glasses. But my old glasses were falling apart, so. So before he went to Northeastern State University in Tahlequah, he was at Northeastern State, he was at Haskell Indian Nations University in Kansas. But it did not say if he belonged to a tribe or not. But that is an excellent question. Absolutely. Absolutely. We have amazing, y'all are smarter than I am. Arctic says, I imagine Madison Tahlequah is practically a big reservation. Yeah, I figured Arctic would know a lot about this because he's from Oklahoma originally and knows a lot about Oklahoma and Oklahoma cases. So I figured he would have some information. Yes, Chris says the person who called and left a nasty message is a big red flag. Yeah, sorry. In my opinion, this is just my opinion. After reading what the comments that the ex-father-in-law made, I would not be surprised if it was somebody on behalf of the ex-father-in-law. Because I think maybe if the ex-father-in-law had called, that they would have recognized his voice. So maybe the ex-father-in-law put up, somebody said, hey, make this phone call and say this, this, and this. To me, in my opinion, I think it's related. Yep, Arctic says the ex is raising all red flags for me. Absolutely. As Peggy says, she went through a divorce. Glad she didn't have to deal with the custody crap. Absolutely. Yeah, some of these photos from the trial, and when I do searches, because a lot of the missing persons that I do my short videos on, I get the basic information. I find them on Charley Project, and when I go to Google to search for better pictures, most of the time it's the same crappy pictures that they have on that they have on the Charley Project. So, well, a lot of them, there's just not any good pictures. Okay, thank you. Arctic says he looked it up and he was a member of the Cherokee Nation. Thank you, Arctic. Chris says, but the college, Haskell University, is not tied to any reservation or tribe. Junior says he's a member of the True Crime Tribe. I like that. I like that. Or True Crime Tribe. Absolutely. Yes, we all. Yeah, Arctic says we all are. Chris says he wants to be a part of the True Crime Tribe, not the fake True Crime Tribe. Absolutely. Yeah, Lisa Joe says it says when he disappeared, he had shoulder length hair and he usually has a full beard. And there are more pictures on. Well, actually, there are only 2 pictures on Charley Project. Both of them are basically the same. In the other picture, it does not have any of him with a beard. The only difference is his hair in the front's a little bit longer. But it does not have a picture of him with the shoulder length hair or the full beard. Thank you. Yes, Arctic says, I call our community the real crime community to separate us from the tragedy pimps. Absolutely. All right, let me get caught up and we will move on to the next one. That's a good name. Miss Lisa just says Real Crime Advocacy Coalition, or CAC. I can work with that. She says, damn it, I wanted to have a funner acronym. We'll come up with something. We'll come up with something. There's Miss Sunday Doodles. Hello, Sunday. Good to have you here. Absolutely. See, that's what I'm wondering. Miss Paula says, is that the hitchhiker on the bottom? That's what I want to know, is because they say this is just a person of interest they want to talk to who could have information. I want to know if he was the hitchhiker or if there's 2 completely separate people. If it was him, the witness, and then somebody else that was the hitchhiker. I don't know. I just have a gut feeling, unless somebody knew who he was going to, because his girlfriend said, or knew at least, that he was going to pick up a hitchhiker. But I don't know. I just have a gut feeling that this person might have been the hitchhiker. I don't know. I could be wrong, but yes, Miranda says it's so sad how many people just vanish without a trace. Absolutely.